Hi, we're the DiRienzos, John and Marietta, and we moved to Florida in 1984 from Connecticut. We sold our house up there and bought a house here, took the opportunity to buy a car and living the dream, just buying things that were important to us at the time. Cars and toys, TVs, all kinds of things. We started feeling trapped. We started getting calls from creditors. Late fees were adding up, and it wasn't a very good time. And as Christians, we sat down together. One night I wasn't able to sleep, and so I got up in the middle of the night. I sat in the family room and I prayed. And I opened my Bible, and the page that it opened to was the 23rd Psalm. And I remember reading that God leads you to beside quiet waters. And I had no quiet waters in my life. I was stressed about finances and really didn't know where to turn. And I just asked the Lord to help me find a way out. So Marietta and I went to the mall one day, more to get exercise than to buy anything, because we really didn't have much money. And I was sitting at a bench waiting for her and a relative of ours to walk through the mall. And I was sitting in front of a Walden Books. And in front of me was a pyramid of books. And on the top of it, it was a sale table. And on the top of it was a finance book by Ron Blue. And it was about managing your finances through a Christian walk. And I got up and I went over to look at it, and the book was on sale for $2.50, which was a good thing because I only had about $3 in my pocket. So I bought the book. And
I was not real happy that he even spent the $3
yeah,
to
Marietta
buy the
was
book.
not happy with me. She reminded me that
That was all that we had.
the only people who got rich on those books were
people who wrote the
them.
books.
And so anyway, we got through that, and I read the book, and a statement kind of hit me between the eyes. There was a statement in the beginning of the book that said, "Spend less than you make." And I know that sounds silly, but I had never thought of that statement. No one had ever said it to me, but this book said, "Spend less than you make." And it just made a profound difference in my life and the way I started acting toward money.
Well, the book suggested that we first itemize our bills and to see just how much we were in debt.
It was a real eye-opener.
It was an eye-opener. We were $97,000 in debt just with credit cards. That was not including our mortgage.
Or two car payments.
And
or
so
some student loans.
We felt that we had quite a high mountain to climb to reach this, but we were counting on God.
We knew we weren't living a Christian life when it came to our finances, and we knew we had to change. So we sat down, and the book recommended that you write up a budget, which to me was a horrendous undertaking. I hated the idea of a budget. And in the book, he talked about how important it was to tithe. And I just didn't see how we were going to be able to tithe. I could barely put food on the table for my family. And so we sat down and we tried to write up a budget, and it took hours, and hours turned into days. We spent weekends for the first month or so writing up these budgets, and a lot of disagreement on what we were going to spend on them. And anyway, we finally got a budget we could work with, and the first thing we put into the budget was our tithe. But Malachi 3:10 says that God challenges you. He says to test him on tithing. And so I decided I was going to test God, and I made a deal with him. I prayed hard about it, and I told him that I could not afford a 10% tithe, but I would tithe 2.5% to begin with, and every raise I made, and I was in a job that had regular raises, and every raise I made, I would give him the entire raise until I was tithing 10%. Well, within a year and a half, I got several raises, 2 promotions, and doubled my salary. And at that point, we were tithing a full 10%. Within 3 years, we got to be debt-free by the grace of God. God took that weakness and turned it into a strength and gave us a ministry. The easiest thing to do is to fall into debt, and you really have to be determined not to get there in the first place. Our goal, quite honestly, our goal is to teach every young person, high school and above, the financial peace university technique, because if we could stop them from ever walking down the road of debt, then I think they'd be in a much better place. So if people are in debt and feeling overwhelmed about it, they need to know that there are other people who've been there and there is help out there, and they don't need to feel helpless. Today, the first thing we do is put our tithe into the Lord, and He repays us over and over and over. It's amazing what He does.
And He's faithful.